Hi everyone, my name is Joel Million Isumo. I'm an African. I am from the DRC, and I'd like to speak to my fellow Africans about certain things that are happening in the continent. You've got to understand that as Africans, we have to stick together and be united. As Africans, I don't see the reason why we should be fighting each other based on our skin color, based on our country's histories. We've got to stick together as Africans. It is so sad to see what is happening amongst our nations. It is so sad to see an African begging for a stay in a certain country in Africa. I will understand if it was happening in another continent. I will understand it if it was happening in America, for example. I will understand if it was happening in Europe, for example. But I cannot simply understand the fact that another African is begging for a stay. If you look at Europe, for instance, you will notice that when you are living in a particular country, you've got the right to move in the European territory or in the Schengen territory. And that's not just 5 or 6 countries, that's many countries together in Europe. And that is the strength of Europe, because the European Union has ensured that every citizen of Europe should have access to other countries in Europe. But it is so sad to see that in Africa, we're failing to unite the Africans. We're sharing common histories, common values. And it's so sad to see that Africans are failing to live together. Look at what is happening in our continent. It's so sad, it's frustrating to notice that Africans are struggling to live with one another. What has gone wrong? Where are we failing as Africans? Yes, it is raising some questions from one country to another to see the number of people that are fleeing from one country to another. But yet, like Nelson Mandela said, that where is our Ubuntu, the sense of being a human being, the compassion side? It's no longer there. You see an African burning another black person. You see an African chasing another African from their country. And what amazes me is to notice that as an African, you still need a visa to get to other countries in Africa, which is ridiculous. It's very ridiculous. I think we have started on the wrong note. We've got to reshuffle everything, to reprogram everything. That's why I'm calling on the African Union to take some serious decision to revise how we're living as African. I mean, an African doesn't need a visa to go to another African country, and that will only promote trading. It will alleviate poverty in the continent. It will actually be as a tool that will encourage development, the economic development in certain regions of Africa. There are countries that are surrounded by 9 countries. There are countries that are surrounded by 4 countries in Africa. There are countries that are surrounded by 3 or 5 countries. So what's the need of a visa for an African? Let's make Africa a place where all of us can call home. No wonder now you see Africans traveling to Europe, to America, to Asia to look for a better life, because we are failing to live in peace. We are not united as Africans. If you go to airports, for example, some airports, immigration officers, when they see a white person, they'd rather let the person travel and go free than to look at you. When they look at you, it's like they see a ghost. They'll look at your passport even 100 times, and finally they'll see that that's not your passport. You see the stigma that we have about black people. We should kill it. We should really kill it, because as Africans we should stick together. And I'm going to call on the Africans to rise up and stand together as one. Let us not be manipulated by the influence of the Westerners and the Easterners. Let us not forget our roots. Let us not forget that we're sharing a common history. We have similar past, and our ancestors, our great leaders have suffered to deliver and set us free from the oppression of the Westerners and Easterners, the people from the North. Today we can walk freely. Today we can breathe, but we are actually forgetting where we're coming from. That is why we are becoming so disunited. We're no longer united as Africans. In the past, you will see people from the South going a little bit forward in the North to seek refuge. You will see South Africans going to countries like Zambia, Angola. You will see Congolese running to countries like Tanzania, countries like Gabon, Central Africa, Angola, Zambia, to seek refuge. So in the past, if you are from a certain country in Africa, you will definitely need the help of the other country, the other African country. But today things have just changed. And it's so sad to see what is happening in our current world. It's so sad to see that we cannot live in peace. When a black person in Africa sees another black person as their enemy. It's sad to see that a black person in Africa can actually imagine and think and say that you're coming to take our jobs, our houses, our wives. This is so sad. You know, sometimes it's so painful to hear those things. Africa, we don't need that. Because they are using it to manipulate us. Because we cannot live together, it's easy for them to continue even subjecting us to their system. Because they know that we cannot contain each other. We cannot live with one another. That's a serious problem. I see it as a challenge. So I am actually calling upon my fellow Africans. We have been living in worlds apart. We have been living in different environment, as if we are not in the same place. But I am calling you to reconsider your positions, your positions and your decisions. I'm calling for peace in Africa. Let us be united. Let's think about making Africa visa-free, border-free. Yes, you will still have your borders because It will show that this person is coming from this country and is going to that other country. But let us make Africa border-free and visa-free. This will promote regional trading. This will promote development in our economies. This will make us go stronger. And why not have the same currency as Africans? I understand that we have the African Union that is working in the background to do some serious work, but that is not enough. It's not enough because there are many issues to tackle for the continent. That is just not enough. And I'm pleading to all Africans to remain together. I'm really pleading to all Africans to consider and make Africa the home of all the African people. We have to grow together. We have to work together. And we've got to accept to live together. I think that is something that we are failing to understand, that we belong to the same soil. We belong to the same continent. It's actually tearing my heart to notice that Africa is becoming like a foreign continent for some African people. When you see a Somalian in your country, or a Nigerian, or a Zimbabwean in your country, do not take them as your enemies. When you see a South African or someone from Tanzania, or someone from Kenya, someone from Ethiopia, someone from Senegal, Mali, Angola, Mozambique, Sudan, Morocco, Algeria in your country, Chad, Djibouti, Gabon, Togo, Benin, Madagascar, Namibia in your country, don't take them as strangers. Africa is a big continent. We have people from the Seychelles, people from Île Maurice. We have people from countries like Gambia, which is different from Zambia. So let us all enjoy our heritage instead of fighting one another. We have a lot to do as Africans. My question is, are we going to achieve anything if we cannot live together? What will happen if one day you see someone knocking at your door saying that I am from so and so African country and I need a shelter? What will you do as an African? What will you do if in your company you'll notice that there are certain people that are not from my country, that do not speak the same language with me? What will you do? What will be your reaction? I mean, I'm speaking to the real African, the real people of Africa here. I'm not talking about you from the country that you think you are from. You think perhaps that you are from your country, but you will be shocked to notice and discover that your country is associated with other countries' history. You might be shocked to notice that you were once a foreign person in a strange land. So do not use the word foreigner in Africa. As an African living in the African continent, we've got to get used not to use the word foreigner in the African continent. We're actually supposed to be one. We're actually supposed to stick together. One people stick together. Look at what is happening in Europe today. The entire continent is talking about the attack of Russia against Ukraine. They're not talking about one country. They didn't say that this is the issue of Ukrainians, but they're saying it's an attack that is happening in the European territory. This is the mindset that we should have. This is the mindset. And Africans, wherever you are, you should be proud to be an African. I have noticed something, that because of poverty, Africans are starting to underestimate themselves. It's so ridiculous to hear that Ukraine is looking for people in Africa to go and fight for them. Yes, we can do it because we have the abilities and capabilities, we have the strength and the energy and the techniques and the tactics and the skills to help them. But you've got to stop taking Africans for granted. I mean, I've never seen Europeans coming to fight for the African cause. And don't make your problems our problems. You cannot expect to see African dying for your country while you have your own people running away from other countries. And you can't just give yourself the luxury to say that you are recruiting Africans to go and fight for your countries. That's ridiculous. I mean, you've got to pay some respect to Africans. I'm speaking to the Ukrainian president. You don't have to take Africans for granted. You've got to respect African lives. You've got to respect African countries. Africans are not animals that are supposed to be subjected to sufferings. And do not take advantage of the crisis in Africa, thinking that they will accept the money that you're offering. I mean, if we're talking about Europe today, it's because of Africa. And I'm calling upon all the African people, all the African citizens, not to be tempted by the ridiculous offer that the Ukrainian government has put on the table. That's the most ridiculous offer. That is because they know that we do not value ourselves. That is because they know that those people, when they hear about money, they run, they run after it. Africans, it's time for us to develop ourselves as people of this land. Africa is our land. We should be proud to be Africans. We should be proud to say we are rooted in the African culture. And let nobody come on your way to say stupidity to you. I am really asking all the Africans to reconsider. I'm asking all the Africans to put themselves where they have to be, they ought to be. And lastly, I would like peace to reign in Africa. Let's love one another. Let's respect each other. An African should know better the value of another African. It will not do any good to our continent when we are not united. It will not do anything good to us. But right now, what we need is to develop common interest, to accentuate trading amongst African countries. We have to make Africa visa free. We have to make Africa border free. And I hope to see you soon.